Welcome to Order Militaris Radio TV, and we're lifelong Catholics, and we'll do us all for free, and for our love of Jesus Christ, and for our Holy Mother, the Church, and we'll offend our Holy Mother, the Church. Today we're going to be talking about Twitter is a giant MK Ultra project, and we are here with Brother Alexis.
Thank you, AJ, for having me on Order Militaris Radio TV. And, in Order Militaris Catholicus, everything we do is to protect Christians from persecution. And the most insidious form of persecution is psychological manipulation or informational manipulation. And we've talked about Russian propaganda. I'm going to talk about the whole globalist communication architecture to control us. And this goes back to even before the Nazis. The Nazis, though, perfected it. And then the US government actually started a project, which they say no longer exists. But we'll talk about what is the name of this project, AJ, and what did it consist in, and what are some of the infamous things that were involved.
Yeah, we are talking about Project MK Ultra from early 1950s, 1949, 1950s. They say it ended in the 70s. It deals with mind control, manipulation of people, controlling people. One of the things that's back in everyone's mind and news is of what Elon Musk wants to do with the chips. And it all comes from Dr. Rodrigo, I believe it is, a Spanish doctor who first perfected this for MK Ultra, where he first started out putting these chips into animals. Then he you know what? We have a bullfighting coming up in Spain. So we showed off there, and he put the thing into one of the fighting bulls of Spain and showed how he could control it. And this is the same technology that Elon Musk wants to use on people.
So MK Ultra stands for Mind Control Ultra. So just know the thing, and it's usually spelled MK uppercase, Ultra lowercase. And the whole project is studying how the mind works. So these people don't believe in the soul. They don't believe that we're creatures of God. They don't believe that there's any moral restraint for them experimenting on people, even without their consent. And their theory, their general overall theory is if they can put information in your mind, either directly electrically or chemically or informationally, and control how you react to that, then they can control you. So it's extremely diabolical. What are some of the absolutely horrible things that this project was involved in, AJ?
It's known, and Robert Kennedy Jr., the son of Bobby Kennedy, not the son of Bobby Kennedy, but the relation to Bobby Kennedy, believes Bobby Kennedy was killed by MK Ultra subjects. Then we have the man who tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan. There is talk that this guy was also an MK Ultra subject. And what is fascinating is there is a movie that is with Frank Sinatra and others, and be made with Denzel Washington, the Manchurian Candidate, and that is one of their projects that they actually do.
Yeah, that was one of their goals. And if you are old enough as I, you can remember the attempted assassination of John Paul II by Ali Asha, who had been in mental institutions. Why is it that in modern times, people from mental institutions are attempting to assassinate well-known figures? You never hear of this in the Middle Ages or any prior age.
Yeah, the one thing that MK Ultra doctors always work in are mental institutions. There's a MK Ultra hospital outside of Denver. There's one, there's a few in Toronto and Montreal. There are numerous ones around the country.
And in the famous video, AJ will put it in the show notes of this program on the MK Ultra project, it details the horrible things they did up in Canada. Why did they go? First of all, they experiment without consent of parents or relatives or individuals on people with mental disabilities because they're in institutions, which according to the law, no one can get you out of. And if they can fill out the proper paperwork, they can suck you in there and you can never get out. Famous film, I recommend you watch, One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was about a journalist who pretended to have mental issues so he could get inside a psychiatric clinic and find out what was going on. And in a way that tells the story of MK Ultra, and the guy he doesn't realize who he's playing with, and they end up lobotomizing him and turning him into a vegetable. And that's just fiction, but it actually happened to someone. There was a husband outside of Boston in I think it was the 60s. His wife didn't like him and she was going to a psychiatrist, and that psychiatrist was an MK Ultra doctor. And he said, well, you know, if your husband has problems, we can get him to a clinic and have his abusive behavior taken care of. When they were done, this guy was completely lobotomized. And he was a perfectly rational, he had no mental problems. It was all on the accusation of his wife with the collusion of this doctor. And that's what led to a Senate investigation and the so-called end of the public existence of this project. It was secret, and they allegedly ended it. But we have a lot of evidence that they didn't end it. I mean, that story that you cited yesterday in our video on True Patriotism, that's Texas. What did it take place in Texas? Was it in Florida?
Yeah, Texas.
And that was 2020 that took place. Okay, it was going on a bit before that, but so this project's still going on. And this project isn't only going on in the United States. I know personally a perfectly sane, ethical, upright Catholic man in Italy. And because of his political views, he was forced to go to a clinic for observation. They didn't like the fact that he was a believer. They forced him to go on a regimen of being observed psychologically under court direction for the rest of his life. And they have put him in clinics against his will. He came out after 6 weeks. I didn't see him for 6 weeks. But he went, oh, the doctor ordered me to go to this clinic. Well, when he came out of this clinic, he was saying to me, I get these ideas, I don't know where they're coming from, that I should assassinate a politician with a rifle. I said, where'd you get that idea? Because I've never thought it before, but somehow I think it now. That's classic MK Ultra programming. They inserted it into his subconscious. And I said, don't pay any attention to it. And I explained to him the MK Ultra project. And he had no memory. I said, what went on the 6 weeks in the clinic? He goes, I have no memory of what happened to me. And that's Italy in the year 2021. So when you see mass murders like in Uvalde, Texas, and you see they're always erasing the social media accounts of these people they claim they're mentally unstable, then, you know, it's pretty obvious what's going on, you know. Right when Macron needed votes, the last time he was elected for president, this nut walked into a Catholic church in southern France and slit 3 people's throats. He had been on medical observation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's extremely devious. And these people are extremely anti-Catholic. I remember a group of friars when I was in the Franciscan Friars of Immaculate in the United States, when I was still a postulant. Someone known to our community was taken against their will into a mental institution in Connecticut. And they went to visit the person. And the head of the clinic, who had a degree in psychiatry, not in psychology, and psychiatry is complete quackery, he said to all the friars at the front door, if I had my way, I'd put all of you in here for the rest of your lives. And they said, why? Because anyone who wears a habit like that and professes to follow St. Francis has to be totally insane. And I want to cure you. So these people are completely malign. So what are some of the long-range goals of MK Ultra? What do they actually want to do with this knowledge in these projects? What are they experimenting for?
If I didn't watch that married couple where the video be in the show page, you would think it'd be science fiction. These guys want to manipulate us so much that we turn into what we are using, the digital stuff, through Twitter, Instagram, everything. And MK Ultra is part of it, where they want to manipulate us into becoming more, not physically here, but more into the digital.
Mm-hmm. And their way into this is because they discovered that God has so created the human mind that the more you use some instrument through the mind, the more the mind becomes connected to that instrument. Well, that's just normal. For example, I can do this which a lot of people cannot do, because in middle school and high school, I played the alto saxophone, and I had to learn how to use each of my fingers differently, but in unison, so that I would, the air would go out of the alto saxophone in the right way. So I have connections that AJ probably doesn't have, because he didn't play alto saxophone. And likewise, AJ shot a gun, so he has connections between eye and ear that I don't have, never fired a firearm. So this is what they're doing. They gave us an extremely fascinating thing to hold in our hand. It's called a cell phone. And your attention is all on that phone all day long. Your mind is on that phone. It's on the fingers on that phone. There are people that if they lose their cell phone, have anxiety fits. And that, I'm going to tell you something, what I'm about to say is going to seem strange. Their anxiety is not abnormal. Why? Because they already have a neurologic connection with that device. That's how profound it is. So it's as if their hand was taken away. But the neurologic connection with the cell phone, that is abnormal. Because God did not create you to operate a cell phone. God did not create you to sit in front of a television from the time you were 3 days old.
Yeah. And what we're going to say is going to be sounding very, very strange. These monsters want us to become the internet by constantly using these things. It's all connected with 5G. When we had 3G, it was not that bad. It was nice and slow. And they bumped us up to 4G, everything. And things started to get faster. And people are like, is time really moving faster? It was because all of a sudden, what we're consuming is coming at us faster.
And the logic behind this is pragmatic, because the human mind is so far more advanced than any computer. I mean, to make a computer with the computational capacity of the human mind, its ability to abstract things instantly without doing calculations, would cost you billions of dollars. But if you can get humans to hook up electrically to one another, you can turn the entire human race into a computer. And if you can control what those minds are thinking, then that entire network serves you.
Yeah. Those in the United States, you probably have seen the new Domino Pizza ad, and it's for the next season of Stranger Things. And they're at Domino's Pizza. They ordered the pizza by phone, like they're there to pick it up. And all of a sudden, the lights flicker. And here comes a receipt coming out of the receipt thing saying, "We have a pizza order," but the phone didn't ring. They have developed the technology right now for Domino's Pizza where you can order a pizza with your mind.
Mhm. They could do it even just monitoring your computer. You say, hey, yeah, Sally, do you like a pizza tonight? Yeah, pepperoni and cheese. They're spying on you through your cell phone, through your television. And then a notification comes. The order's been placed, you'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not telling you that, but they already have this information. And I'll give you this example. I have never, for the 2.5 years I was in Italy, I never used the word ciabatta. Okay. Ciabatta is a very specific word for a very unique kind of Italian bread. So one day I was traveling without my cell phone, I had two cell phones, not with my cell phone A, but with my cell phone B turned off 2 or 3 hours away. And on the return trip, cell phone turned off. I said to the person next to me, I started talking about bread because my grandfather was a bread maker and worked in a bakery. Ciabatta bread, explaining what it was. I get home, cell phone B turned off. I turn on cell phone A. A recipe for ciabatta bread pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's only because they're spying on us. I mean, that's spying on us. There was a case where they exposed a whole bunch of perverts in the Vatican because the information from their app that they used for connections was sold to someone who bought it and then revealed where these signals were coming from. So they're watching us about everything. Every time if you are looking at a website and there's an ad that pops up about jelly donuts and you look at that ad, the camera on your device is looking at your eyes, measuring how long you're looking at that ad. And you didn't even touch that ad, but for the next month you get jelly donut ad.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you looked at it. And this happens. I mean, I have seen this case on the internet because I've been on the internet since '91, so I've seen a lot. If you see a news article about an actress and she's dressed scantily, and you read that entire article, then at 2 a.m, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on Facebook, whether on websites, you start getting ads with women in those kind of bathing suits. Well, how did they get that information? And why are they sending it to you at 2 a.m?
Mm-hmm.
Because they know that's the hour you're most isolated and can be most influenced to commit sins of impurity. That's obviously what they're about, which is one of the chief ways of controlling most people. So now we come to the person that so many fools are saying, oh, it's going to save Twitter, Elon Musk. So who is Elon Musk, AJ? What's his family into?
Eugenics.
Transhumanism,
Mm-hmm.
futurism. His grandfather was so far out in the 20s and 30s that Canada expelled him. Canada. And he went to South Africa, and that's where his father was born and he was born. He's not a US citizen, or maybe he is now. And don't believe all the thing about Telsa and stuff. How did he get all that money to run Telsa? Because Telsa and all his other project of putting things in orbit and stuff, he's gotten massive. I mean, Obama gave him like $35 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would Obama give a white guy from South Africa 35 billion taxpayer dollars? And he has this MK Ultra project thing. They're trying to develop a system of implants to control monkeys. And there was a news article. What's happening to these monkeys?
Monkeys are, if it's the one I thought read, they're becoming super aggressive.
Mm-hmm. And something like 40% of them, after a couple weeks, 6 weeks, I think it is, are dropping dead.
Mm-hmm.
He's giving them so much electric juice to constantly control everything. He's not interested in just saying, well, let's try to get him to eat a banana at 3 o'clock. No, it's total control.
Mm-hmm.
And why is he experimenting on monkey brains? Because monkey brains are 99.99% like human brains. So let's now talk about Twitter as an MK Ultra project. We'll get back to Elon Musk and why he has to buy Twitter and is buying Twitter. So on Twitter, what's the promise of Twitter, AJ? What at the beginning they promise everyone?
Privacy, security, and free speech.
And one thing that I always wondered is, how did they get all the important people in the world on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
All the heads of state, all the actors and actresses, all the athletes, all the corporations. How did they get them all on Twitter? It's the only platform where they're all on.
Yeah.
And then there's the glamour of, you could see exactly what a famous actor and actress tweeted out seconds after they tweeted it. And you could be the first to comment. You could actually talk to that famous person.
Mm-hmm.
How absolutely attractive that is to almost everyone. And if you hated them, you could, if Trump's out there, you could send a nasty thing to him, and satisfy your, your inmost desire to insult people. And that was very attractive, but it didn't stay that way for long. What did they start doing without telling anyone?
That they started to spy on you. That they started to play with your Twitter profile. That they started to read your messages, your direct messages, or when we were trying to set up a defense league to teach self-defense in the UK, we were having a meeting with everybody in the UK on Twitter. And people like, hey, did I tweet? Did I write this? I was like, I just got on here. And then I wrote the real thing. All of a sudden, while I was writing, you would see what it looks like when they're writing. All of a sudden, here comes another message that I did not write.
They actually had someone reading the chat and writing. That's only a small thing. Then they started, shadow banning. And what is shadow banning on Twitter, AJ, for those who don't know Twitter?
It is to make sure that no one sees what you are tweeting, saying, or doing.
So they can shadow ban accounts. They can shadow ban your messages, which are called tweets. They can shadow ban your likes. They can shadow ban your retweets so people don't see that you're liking with it. They can shadow ban notifications because on Twitter, at least at the beginning, if someone followed you, retweeted you, or liked you, or spoke back to you, or sent you a private message, you would within seconds get a notification saying of the activity. Now, how long does it take sometimes to get a notification?
Longest was 20 minutes.
I have seen notifications that took 3 months to arrive. 3 months. On urgent appeals, 3 months. And I've seen notifications that never arrive. You know, you send a direct message, it never arrives. And then there's even worse. They put people on blacklists. You know, lists of suspicion. And I'll give you an example of this. I just founded a nonprofit in the Ukraine, here in Kyiv. It's called Cross Azure. So I set up a Twitter account for it. I only followed 3 accounts, 2 of the order, and then AJ's account. Immediately, my account, the new account of the Cross Azure, an Ukrainian registered nonprofit, was suspended. I had done the most suspicious thing. I followed 3 banned accounts. How would I even know they exist? That was like, on the Twitter system, it was like, immediately, you must tell us your phone number. Who are you following these 3 accounts?
Yeah.
Is that that's Soviet control? That's like gulag level. And then they started this new trick about your homepage, the order of the tweets. And Elon Musk revealed that it existed, but what does this trick consist in, AJ?
That they don't show up how they come in. They alternate, you know, from new to old, but everything I'm seeing pretty much is 4 hours, 20 hours old, 30 hours old, a week old. I am not seeing new today stuff.
And this started about 18 months ago, but they hid the fact. And only if you see the little, you used to see like in the top of your homepage, this little gear. Now it's turned into 3 stars. And if you click it, use 2 options. There is see the tweets as they happen, which is the way it was 6 years ago, and which they never announced they were going to change, or return to your homepage and see the important tweets we have chosen for you. And why don't they want you, a nobody, not to see tweets as they happen? Because they know well that on Twitter, if you're the first to comment, everyone will see your comment.
Yeah.
So if they don't want you to have a voice, you are not shown the tweet until it has like 1,000 comments, and then no one will see your comment. Oh, so Elon Musk reveals this, and Jack, the founder of Twitter, says, well, we don't do it to manipulate anyone. We do it so they have a better experience. Well, soon, it was days after Jack said that when you logged on Twitter, it reverted immediately back to the tweets they want you to see, even if you had set it to see latest tweets. And every time you go on Twitter, you have to set it to see latest tweets, because they immediately flip it back. So Jack, you're telling me that has nothing to do with manipulation? Yeah, sure. And so, then triggering, what's a sidebar, you know? Don't they, what's that? There's a sidebar there they do to trigger you?
Yeah. So on the sidebar is where they have their supposed news that they want you to see. Sometimes it's what you really want to see, like war in Ukraine, but then it's slanted stuff from Russia or whoever. Then all of a sudden you see like some Yehu's birthday in South Korea. Like, I don't know who this guy is. So
When Elon Musk announced he was going to buy Twitter, and all these conservatives started coming back to the platform, what did they put inside in the sidebar? They put a completely nude woman, didn't have any clothing on. And they left it there for like 9 hours. That was like giving the middle finger to everyone. And that's a violation of the user policy, because according to the user policy, you're not supposed to be showing pornography. And then Twitter, it was revealed, what was it, a couple months ago, that Twitter, it promotes pedophilia and the sharing of images by pedophiles and has protected them for years and seemingly has created the platform for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you're not seeing what you want to, I mean, if I follow 12 accounts and I want to see what those people are saying, but they start showing me other accounts, they show me, it used to be that if you followed AJ, you would see his tweets and his retweets. Then with this new system of control, you saw things that saying, an account you don't even follow, a tweet, and then a little note up above, followed by AJ Bauman. Or you'll see actually a like by AJ Bauman. AJ Bauman liked this post. Well, you know, that's not what follow means. If you're following someone, you want to hear what he says. You're not following him in the sense of a spy. I want to see everything he does.
Mm-hmm.
Who would want that functionality? Okay, so then your entire timeline's full of things you don't want to see. And if you didn't know that control existed, to flip back to the latest tweets, they give you this option. You don't want to see this tweet? Okay. So you say, I don't want to see this tweet that AJ liked. Well, as soon as you press that, you don't see AJ anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not what the control said. The control said you don't want to see this tweet. But when you press it, you don't see AJ anymore. So they built in shadow banning. Oh, we didn't shadow ban him. All his followers shadow banned him.
Yeah.
If they can control the input, they can control what you're thinking. If you're in a completely white room and all of a sudden there's a picture of a lion on it, you're gonna be thinking about a lion. I guarantee it. And this is how Twitter has become an MK Ultra project. Where did they get the billions to invest in this useless platform? It's not worth $1 billion. AJ, we started a social media platform last year called crossazure.net. How much did it cost?
Few thousand.
Yeah. So why would you need $50 billion investment to start Twitter? What's going on there?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that money going? What are they doing with their computers? You know how many computers you could buy for $50 billion?
Yeah.
50 billion. So you're being constantly, Twitter is just a manipulation engine. It's an MK Ultra engine so that if you go on that platform, if you don't have the absolute strictest controls, you're totally manipulated. And we won't even talk about trolls. AJ, trolls. You've been on Twitter a long time. What is a troll? What do they do on Twitter? How do they do it?
Trolls are, let's see. Yeah, trolls are mostly human mostly human you and mostly human and mostly agents of different countries who are there to stir up trouble, manipulate people, cause people to react not so nicely.
And do they say things that are false?
Yeah, and they'll say things that are very false and then try to twist it, say something that's false but makes it appear truthful. They keep twisting, spinning, trying to
And
work on it.
are these people who you are following or follow you, or they come out of the blue?
They mostly come out of the blue, but we have recently seen them from accounts we followed. They are called shapeshifters.
And what is a shapeshifter?
They first start out as something normal, like a normal account, like your normal Chad Catholic account or Catholic parish account. All of a sudden, images change, names change, handles change, and how they talk, how they express themselves on Twitter changes. And we've seen that in one. that just changed instantly from a normal person to I think it was a Russian operative. Instant.
And AJ and I did an experiment the other day on Twitter. We developed a list by which we would categorize someone probably as a shapeshifter or as a potential bot. And we started blocking them. He blocked them, I blocked them. We blocked them from the accounts that we use for Order Militaris. And so we blocked like 5 accounts. How many accounts have disappeared on your enumeration?
So I blocked 5 accounts and I lost like 20.
I lost like 18. So how is it that you block 5 and you lose 18? So Twitter knows that people who are running these fake bot accounts have consoles where they have hundreds of accounts. And I blocked an account that identified as fake that was created in October 2021. 5 more accounts in the next 36 hours who were created in October 21 meet our criteria as a bot, came and followed me.
Yeah.
So that sounds like some kind of really deep MK Ultra project. They need nodes that are hooked into you to listen to what you're saying, monitor that, and occasionally throw out a troll comment to see how you react to it.
Mm-hmm.
That is malign.
Yeah.
That is malign. So now we come to why Elon Musk wants Twitter. Do you think he wants it for free speech, AJ?
No.
What is Twitter worth to him if he's into mind control?
It is worth more to him because we share our thoughts, our most desires, deepest desires, all our fears, all our joys, everything is on Twitter. And Elon Musk can use that. You know, it's going to sound crazy. And it's proven in those videos that they could, whenever the technology is right, they could either put that chip into someone else, and that person who looks nothing like you, like a neighbor or a friend you know, but all of a sudden, when he speaks with that chip, it'll sound like someone you know, or it will make identical copy, just like in the Body Snatcher.
Mm-hmm. And you add this kind of mind control project on top of the genetic control. They want to constantly give you new injections to change your genome. And they want to turn you into a completely green organism that eats grass, photosynthesizes, and breathes carbon dioxide rather than oxygen, and looks reptilian. And in Italy, when I was buying a cell phone before I left, I saw what they want. They had a big image of it. And this creature was using a cell phone. And it was not human, although it had a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. But it had like an organic membrane over the face, so it had like a permanent mask. It had green skin. It had strange things coming out of the head. And the Italian was something like, evolve. Like some kind, the message was like, with our phone, you'll evolve. It was an ad from Samsung. I reported it from. So their project is total control, total transformation, total erasure of your identity.
Mm-hmm.
They want to steal everything about you and steal everything from you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just leave it there. That's the facts. We're just citing facts here, okay? We're not even doing speculation. AJ will put the links in. And If you use social media, you must use it with the greatest discretion and the greatest self-control. And if you feel them manipulating you, get off of it. Now, people would ask me in the last 8 years, because I used to be on Twitter and I left Twitter. I don't have a personal account there. How did you survive on Twitter? I said, I blocked half of all the accounts that followed me. I blocked half. My block list was up to 7,000. And they say, why do you do that? Because I said, those 7,000 people are vicious people, and either they speak lies or they say something to manipulate. So when it went in the news the other week or so, Elon Musk was like, how many accounts are fake on Twitter? And Twitter was saying, oh, there's only 5,000, 5% of them. More like 40% of them.
Mm-hmm.
And why? Because that's why they're funded by the US government. And that's the only way they can make the platform an MK Ultra mind control system.
Yep. Oh, on the video that you're going to see down below, ours called the Minds of Men. It's done here for hours long. It's not made for children because it is creepy.
But it's true and creepy.
Yeah.
But you have to watch that film if you want to know who's really running the US government and most of the governments of the world, what the level of their immorality is, and what is their malign project for each and every one of us, and why it is so important that you remain in control and don't meld with the things they want to give you.
Yeah.
You know, it's the apple of the Garden of Eden. Oh, you won't die if you bite it. You'll be like God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Watch that video. Watch ours. Share both of them. And day is full.
Okay, it's full.